Hi there, I'm Pearl, and this is healing. I'm talking about healing today, and specifically a lot of types of healing that are related and are dance and dancing. So, if you don't know already, this is my book. It's a big old thing. It's a guide to healing 2019, and there are about 500 types of healing in here. And I went in and I thought, let me see what I wrote about dance. And although I wrote about dance in here, there's a lot that I didn't put in here, okay? And one of the most sort of powerful moments that I had was after I had trained in all kinds of dancing, after I became a Zumba instructor, after I made a dance movie, all this kind of stuff. And I went on my Camino, what I call my Camino de la Luna. And I went to a place called Teotihuacan near Mexico City, in Mexico. And we had New Year's Eve, and we had this incredible thing, this event that was put on for us, which was Aztec dancing. And so there we all were, and there was like a bonfire. It was New Year's Eve. The hotel was actually in the grounds of the pyramid, so it was like they had the archaeological ruins were there all around us, and I've got some photos of it afterwards, but we weren't allowed to take video or anything of this. And so we were sitting around by this bonfire, and these traditional Aztec dancers came out, and it was absolutely unbelievable. It was so good. And I've been to Zumba convention 3 times. I've been to so many trainings, watched so many videos. As I said, I did a video, a feature film. I've done loads of salsa. I had been to Granada. I'd been to Sacromonte in Granada, which is the home of flamenco, and like heard the flamenco drumming through the mountain in the cave I was sleeping in. So it was like, that was amazing. But this Aztec dancing, we were there and we were waiting, and there were all these dancers all dressed up with like feathers and all these amazing costumes. And all of a sudden this woman came out, and she was dressed all in green, these green feathers, I say makeup, it's just, like, I don't know, something otherworldly. And she came out, and I say she was like so beautiful, but it wasn't like because she was so pretty or anything, or because she was smiling, because she wasn't smiling at all. She came out and she was so like a force of nature, so something otherworldly. And I just saw her dancing, and all I could think was, I want to learn to dance like her. I want to learn to dance like that. And I couldn't figure out what it was about the way she danced that I didn't have. And I couldn't figure that out. And as I said, this was after years and years of studying dance, all kinds of things. And it wasn't there was something, and I thought, wow, I want to dance like that. I want to dance like that. And it took me a really long time to figure out what it was about the dancing that was so special. And I'm going to do that horrible thing now that people do in videos, which is say, I'm not going to tell you right now. I am going to explain a little bit, okay? And it's not because I'm trying to be horrible to you or to you, but because I think this is the best way to explain it, okay? So going back to the beginning with dance is, what I've learned is kids don't need to learn how to dance. When children are born, they dance around. Babies understand music. Animals understand music. Traveling around, I learned that dolphins love music, and they love moving to music. Turtles in rehabilitation love music, and they will follow you. I was there with some turtles in a rehab facility, and I was doing this dancing, and they were following me. They were mirroring me. So dance is something, animals dance. And we don't need to learn to dance. It's already in us, even without any music, because we always have a rhythm. We always have a heartbeat, and all these other rhythms in the world and in nature and everything like that. So everyone in the planet, even all the animals, and maybe even the trees as well, you're a dancer. It's so natural. And what I learned over the years is how much stuff we put in the way of being a dancer. You know, I love Strictly Come Dancing. I love all these kind of dance programs, but it's not about being perfect or dancing a particular rhythm or having straight legs or bent knees or having the elbow up or doing that. That's a different thing. You know, it's a different world. We don't need that. When we're dancing for healing, you know, it's really allowing something beautiful, natural, and wild to come out. And also, when I say dancing for healing, sometimes the truth is that what we need to heal is where we're holding ourselves back from dancing. And over the years, what I've really learned, whether I'm working with, I mean, I always say I've taught ages 4 to 104. Under 4, you don't need a teacher. You just do it naturally, it's fine. But what I've learned is a lot of the people who are the most resistant or who are the most negative about themselves, you know, say, oh, I'm not a dancer, I've got 2 left feet, I'm not so uncoordinated, are the ones that once they start to dance, they just come alive, you know, and there's something that we're holding back when we're not dancing. So sometimes just getting up and moving your butt and having a wiggle, that's healing, because it's about not dancing, if you know what I mean. And I always remember when I was teaching in a primary school, and I love teaching in a primary school, it's just so brilliant. And I remember, and actually there's a review on my website, you know, from the teachers, and they say exactly this, but I'll tell you first. And I remember the first time, and there was this boy that came in, and he was walking down the hallway, and he was like this, he was like, why are you making us do this? Why are you know? And he was so angry, and he was just one of those kids that was just really like hated the idea of dancing. And I think he just hated PE because this was like a PE lesson, a physical education lesson. So we went in and we did this class, and kids Zumba is different to regular Zumba class, and we do things very differently. We break things down. We turn and, you know, we talk about the music. We talk about, if it's African, we talk about the country. There's a lot more talking, and so we did this African dance, and we did a lot of drumming and all this kind of stuff. And I always remember, like, you know, as soon as we started dancing, this little boy, he's probably about 7 or 8 years old, he was flying around the room. He was just whizzing and whizzing around the room because he was allowed to, and he had been told, this is PE, you know, have fun. You know, this is the thing we say, it's not about getting it right. It's not about beating anybody else. It's not about being competitive. It is just about enjoying your body, enjoying your music, you know, and having, like, doing some drumming and he just was flying around the room. And I just think that's one of the nicest things, one of the many high points of being a teacher of dance and Zumba, was that seeing that transformation in a couple of minutes, but really a couple of seconds, because it was when we put the music on, and it was just like, da, you can have fun, and it's so great. And I just remember that little boy, and I just think, wow, I love that transformation that happens with dance. And when we put, you know, when we give people freedom and permission to just be themselves, to just be natural, you know. And I myself at PE, I was not the most coordinated. I was not very good at things like netball or running or anything like that. You know, I hated it so much. And I just got worse as I did it. So to me, you know, there was a few things I was quite good at, but, you know, nothing that I really enjoyed and excelled in until it came to dancing. And I've always loved to dance. But when I was a kid, you know, my mum was great, and she, you know, she raised 5 of us on her own. And so we didn't really have much money at all. And one of the things that really broke my heart at that age was, you know, being a little girl, I wanted to do ballet. And I think my mum managed to buy us the little ballet slippers. And we did, and to pay for like a term of ballet, which we did. And then the second term, I think it was just like, yeah, this, in that year, you have to have the clothes, you know, you have to start buying more kit. And I think my mum was just like, yeah, I can't afford it. So I had to stop going to ballet class. And That really broke my heart. And it's a really tough thing. But the great thing, of course, was I didn't stop dancing, because I was dancing around the living room. But I didn't really think of that as dancing. I know it sounds weird, but we used to put the music on and just dance around and have fun and be crazy, and I'm sure drive my mum up the wall. And luckily, it was the time of the Fame TV series, the original TV series. So we would put the Fame TV show on, and we would watch Debbie Allen, and we would, we would, whatever they were doing when they had the floaty dresses and we were dancing around, we would be dancing around, and we were kids from Fame. Was a kid from Fame way back then, and just danced around the living room and felt that I was at the School of the Performing Arts, and I just loved that. It was so great. And I think the thing is, as you get older, you kind of get into that thing of like, to dance, you need to be in a club, or you need to be drinking or going out with your mates. And of course I did all that. Don't tell everybody. Did all that, had a great time. Probably wasn't as healing and well behaved as it should have been. But when I got into Zumba, I really just went to that because I had put on so much weight and I was really in a bad place in my life. And I went to a Zumba class, and I was going to the gym like every day, and I used to go really early in the morning before work. So I used to be there before. What they used to do is they used to open the front doors, but then there was like the turnstiles, and they wouldn't let us in, to the actual gym until I think it was 6:30 a.m. So a lot of us would like show up, and we would all stand there and wait for them to actually let us in, so we could get on the treadmill and do our running and all that. And I always remember that we would never speak to each other. We never looked at each other. All of us early morning people, we just wanted to get in, do a workout, have a swim, whatever it was. And so we waited. They would open the turnstiles. We'd go in. Nobody would say a word. And I was at that gym for years, and that was my routine, and I would do that. But things stopped working. Like in fitness, you tend to plateau. So I wasn't losing any weight. I was there all the time, but it wasn't really doing anything. And then I saw a poster for Zumba, and I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. And when I did that first class, it was so difficult. I hardly got any steps right. And I loved it because I felt challenged. And that's what I love about dance as well, that sometimes we need to be challenged. We need things to connect with our brain. We need to be using our mind, which I wasn't doing when I was on the treadmill. I wasn't doing that. Even in the pool, I was kind of like, thinking about stuff. And what I loved about being in Zumba is it just distracted me, and I could just enjoy, I could just get on with it, and I could just be focusing on what I was trying to follow and what I was trying to do. So I'd stop thinking about all the problems I had, everything else. And that was it. I was hooked, and I was going to the gym. I was going to Zumba all the time, and I stopped eating so badly at work because I was like, I'm going to go and jump around in the evening, so I can't be full of biscuits, and I would have to stop eating at like 3:00 in the afternoon because I had a class in the evening. And I would run home, and I would get my bag, and I would run down the road to the gym, and about 100 yards from the gym I would stop. And I would panic, and I would go, oh my God, they're going to see me. They're going to see me dancing, and because I had some great instructors. I mean, really professional dancers, instructors. And I was always in the front row. I was like, oh, they're going to see me. And what if I make a mistake and I'm going to look stupid and I'm fat and I can't do this and I can't do that, all this. And then I would go because I was standing there. I had my gym kit. I was 100 yards away. I'd already paid for the gym. So I was like, okay, I'll go. And as soon as I got in there, that went away, that fear went away. And I was like, oh, okay. And I just loved the classes so much. And then one day I was doing the class. I was, the teacher was there. I was following along. And the cool down song came on. And I felt so sad. And I realized, I was like, this is the best part of my week. And I suddenly went, my life is so sad. I've got this job, I make a lot of money, I got my flat, I've got my health, I'm doing this. But it made me realize that the only time I was really happy was that 1 hour a week, or maybe sometimes on the Sunday when I got to do a class on Sunday. And I just realized, I thought, my God, I've really got, this is something, there's something wrong. And I had a therapist at the time. I was reading all these, meditation books. I was doing all this. But really, I think it was Zumba that started to wake me up, to make me feel happy and joyful. And I talked about this when I was talking about grief, is that when we do the things that we love, and dance can be something that makes so many people joyful and happy, that joy wakes up everything else. It's like we've been asleep and suddenly it's like, oh, this is so much fun. Why am I not having any fun in the rest of my life? What's fun in the rest of my life is going to fancy restaurants and eating sushi, going out drinking champagne with the guys at work, going to the shops and buying fancy expensive things. And I wasn't really happy at all in that life. And so Zumba was waking me up to that fact. And as time went on and I decided to exit that life, I didn't know what I was going to do. And somebody told me you could train as a Zumba instructor. I thought, okay, I'll go and do that then. I'll go and train as a Zumba instructor. And it was so wonderful because I had had this career in film. I had made this dance movie, Everything to Dance For, with Brendan Cole from Strictly Come Dancing. And I did that because I loved dance movies. I loved Dirty Dancing. I loved Footloose. I love Flashdance. I love Saturday Night Fever. All of these movies, I love them so much. And I thought, you know what? These are all reasonably low budget films. It's about the dancing. And, I figured it was a genre that I could do, I could make a good movie in that genre. And I wrote that script real quick because I didn't realize it then, but I was really channeling all that stuff from being a kid, not having any money. And in the movie, it's really about belly dancing because I had actually started belly dancing after I had a surgery. So I had, I gave my brother a kidney and it really messed up my body. So this half of my body wouldn't dance. So I would go to a club and I'd be trying to dance along, and this side of the body, my body just would be like, no, not going to move. So I started belly dancing to try and get my hip working again. And that was at the same gym. They did some really good classes. So I did like a 6-week course in belly dancing. And it was, completely different to Zumba. It was this woman, she was an amazing Turkish belly dancer. And she was really strict. And she would make us do, we'd just do the same move over and over and over and again until we got it right. And she would make us do these hip lifts and do over and the work, the work it took, to get that movement. But the great thing is that after 6 weeks, I had managed to get that balance back, that evenness. So both my hips were working. So I went to the club, I go, yeah, move, which is absolutely, fantastic because, if you don't have both sides moving, then you get more injuries. So I already have like loads of back problems from having, from using one hip more than the other. But this really helped me to get back into balance. It's funny actually because I'm not sure I put belly dancing in the book. Let's have a look. I did put belly dancing in the book, so that's really good. I explained that in there. And belly dancing is a really ancient form of healing, and it's there are a lot of classes for prenatal and postnatal belly dancing, because belly dancing was actually about using the dance to work all the pelvic muscles for women, so that you had strong core muscles, strong muscles in this area for carrying a baby, for giving birth, and for recovering after having a baby. So if you've got any issues in that area, really do look into belly dancing, because it's fantastic workout for this area to strengthen the muscles that we need, you know, for giving birth and for recovering as well. It's also in Zumba as well. We use it a lot for older fitness to help avoid having to have hip replacements. So it's really good for me because my hips are in really good health, and because I teach this and because I do all this exercise. So chances are I won't need a hip replacement, hopefully. And I also work with a lot of people who have had hip replacements, and we use these kind of movements to keep those areas strong and to help people get back to like really healthy movement after having had hip surgery. Okay, but back when I did I made the movie, I was going to these places. It was really amazing, actually. I got to film in some incredible dance studios. So I was going to all these dance studios and I would see all the classes on the wall, all the different things. We even went up to like a really famous ballet school and filmed in there. That was amazing. And I was kind of intimidated by the ballet because, like, you know, like the character in the film, it was, you know, I hadn't been able to do ballet. So it was kind of like, I was always intimidated by that because it was like, you can't do this. You don't have enough money. You're not, and as a kid, you always take that on yourself and you think, yeah, I'm not good enough. I can't do ballet. But really it was just about the money. And I remember when I was making that film and I was just really feeling, you know what? My next life, I'm going to come back and I'm going to take all these dance classes, And I was thinking, I didn't want to do the dance classes because I was so in love with film. But I knew that I really, really wanted to be able to do all these different kinds of dance classes. I loved it so much. And the funny thing that happened when we finished the film, and we were going out in a bar near to the dance studio where we filmed a lot of stuff. And it turned out they had a salsa night. And a guy came up and invited the girl in the movie, the main actress, to dance. And so she was dancing with him, they were doing salsa, And then he invited me to dance, and I got up and I started dancing salsa with him. And salsa's a really amazing thing. It's a bit like the tango, the milonga, which you don't choreograph it. It's all freestyle. So when you go to a salsa club, you say, well, how can everybody just get up and dance with everybody? And the reason is because you just get used to freestyling. Just like in a normal club, dancing, you don't necessarily choreograph the steps, you just go with the flow. And what I had to learn to do with the salsa there, I had to learn to let go. So I had to learn to let somebody lead me. And the guy that had asked us to dance was a really, really great guy, and he became a really good friend of ours. And he was really good at leading. Instead of just like throwing us around the dance floor, he just was really, really great at leading with his hands. So you'd hold somebody's hand and you know which way they're going to move you. You know which way they're guiding you. So when you learn to dance salsa, suddenly you can dance with anybody because you start to learn that sort of, it's like a language. The movement, and you understand what's happening and where you're going, listening to the music, but you're also letting go and allowing somebody to make the decision for you, to say, yes, we're going to go this way, yes, we're going to go that way, which is very hard for me. I'm not very good at that. But what I found was it was wonderfully freeing. It was wonderfully freeing to be on the dance floor and to be dancing with somebody who could just connect with me with no words, sometimes with the eye contact, but it's an energy, it's the hands and it's the energy. So you become almost psychic with that person, you really can read each other and you dance, and it's a beautiful thing. And I started to go to salsa in that club about 3 times a week. So I almost didn't need to go to the gym because I was doing all the salsa and I was doing all these other things. And it was just, just a wonderful thing. And then, so it was wonderful for me when I started to do Zumba, because I already had that experience. And my first teachers at Zumba weren't really so much into the Latin music. They were doing a lot of pop. So I already had that salsa from my salsa teacher. Yeah. So then when I started doing my training, and then when I started trying to learn choreography, I found it kind of easy because I had that salsa experience. And we also didn't just do salsa in the club, we did other kinds of things. And I loved it so much, and I so enjoyed being able to dance, to learn, to teach, to share everything. It was just so incredible. But one of the things I found so difficult was teaching salsa. And the reason was I loved it so much, I enjoyed it so much, and I was really quite good at it. It was my favorite thing. But every time I tried to teach it, everyone would just kind of look at me and go, what's going on? What are you doing? And when I went to convention for the first time, it was like almost 3 years after I did my training. The one thing I really wanted to do is I wanted to do a class with this guy called Walter Diaz, because he was like the best. So he did a salsa merengue mashup. He taught all that, but that was booked. But what I did is I went to his masterclass. So it was like an hour and a half where he just did a masterclass of like salsa, mainly salsa merengue, all kinds of Zumba. I went to this class and he was incredible. He was so amazing. He really just blew my mind. One of the greatest teachers. And we were doing this really long class. And I have to remember this thing. So he got us to just like face off, so half of us one side, half of us the other. And we're dancing along and we're doing all this, it's great. And he gets us to do this like shaky thing. And he comes up to me and I'm thinking, oh, fab, he's come up to me because I'm doing it so well. Shaky thing. Comes up to me and he goes, like points at me, he goes, yes. And he goes, yeah. He goes, because you need to work that bit. So he's basically coming up to me without words and saying, yes, you need to really do this move because you've got the flabby arms. Thanks so much. Really nice guy, but that was painful. But anyway, so he gets up on the stage and he's doing all this salsa and he's going crazy and it's wonderful. And I looked up at him and he was doing this move and he looked so fantastic. And I remember thinking, I just said, I want to learn how to do that. I want to learn that move. And then I realized that all he was doing was what we would call in salsa a basic forward and back. So like forward on the left, together, back on the right, together. That's it. But when he was doing this step, what he was doing, he was adding in all the hip moves and everything, all the arms, all this kind of stuff, and what we would call the sabor, or the flavor, the spice, all that knowing, all that character, all that passion. And I suddenly went, oh, this is what I'm doing to my students. This is why they can't follow me. Because I am putting too much flavor. I am trying to give them everything. When what they need is they need me to start at the beginning. Very easy, very simple. Forward together, back together, forward together. Okay, now we got that. Okay, let's add some arms. Okay, let's do that. Let's add some energy, some fire. Let's add some spice. Let's add some hips. Let's add some flavor. Excuse me, and in that moment, when I saw that, when I understood that, I became a much, much better teacher. It was in that moment I went, aha. We often talk about these aha moments. And I realized, When people are finding it difficult, I don't need to go more. Because that's what I was doing. Every time people were finding it difficult, I was putting more energy in. I was going bigger. I was going grander. I was trying to show them more. And what I needed to do was to show them less. Basics, simple, easy. Just slow it down, make it simple, make it simple. And when you say it, you know, I mean, look, come on, it sounds really basic, doesn't it? It's like when you put the mirror up and you go, oh yeah, I see what I'm doing. But it took me so long to understand that. And I will tell you, from all the trainings I've done and with the greatest teachers in the world, we all make the same mistakes. We all make the same mistakes. And it's a mistake I even make, you know, in this kind of thing, in my books. Try and give you everything. And then I made smaller books, tiny books. And of course, people buy the tiny books because they want one answer at a time. Let me teach you this, let me teach you this, let me teach you this. Which is why you'll probably see some of this stuff that I'm doing today coming up as shorts on YouTube. Because make it smaller, smaller, smaller. Because it's easier for people to learn. If you make it smaller, smaller, smaller. Anyway, coming back to dance and healing, and I want to just share a few more things. Because as I went in and I was exploring the world of healing, it was amazing how many things were coming back to dance. So I went and did a training with for Kundalini Yoga with Gurmukh in London. And we were doing this training and we got to a session, and what she did is she put on this amazing drum music. Can't remember, maybe they were real drummers. And the goal of the session in terms of physicality was just follow the music, do what you want. And so we were just moving around in the room for like half an hour, 45 minutes, just letting our bodies go with that drumming, with the music. And there was something really healing about that, you know? But I think at the time, what I really was thinking, what I was really like focused on was, oh, it's so easy. It's so easy. Why do I make things so difficult? Why do I make things so complicated? And again, coming back to Zumba, I know there's a value to that. Because for me, when I first started, I needed that complicatedness. I think that might be a new word I've just made up. But I needed that to engage my brain, my mind, to keep my mind occupied so that I could enjoy the dancing, so I could relax and let go. Because I needed a workout for my mind as well as my body, and I needed a workout for the spirit as well. And another training I went to, because I was doing chair classes for people. And I was always worried that I was doing it wrong because I couldn't find a lot of information and education about teaching people in the chair. I even went to Zumba convention to do a chair class. And as I was doing it, I realized, you know what, I know all of this, you know. And really I was working with the people who I was teaching to kind of constantly ask them, okay, what helps you? What's good for you? What do you like? What don't you like? Constantly asking questions and learning as much as I could. And then I was offered like a four-week course on seated exercise by the council. It was free. I jumped it. I went off and did that. And we did this session, which was dance and movement psychotherapy. And it was really amazing. The woman who taught that was really amazing. And all we did, similar to the Kundalini Yoga, was we just had some music on and we just said, just move however you feel. You know, let your body move, let your body go where it wants to. And in that moment, I realized, what I was doing. I was like, oh, wow, this is, my body knows how it wants to move. It knows where it wants to stretch. It knows where it wants to sort of come back. And I learned again that a lot of the healing comes from just letting go, just letting ourselves move and do things in the way that's right for us. It doesn't have to be a certain way. And Zumba's brilliant because it always add things, particularly to Zumba Gold, which is the over 50s, or to the kids or anything else. They add like what we would call fitness moves. So we add a move because we know it's good for this. We add a move because we know it's good for that. It's good for helping us develop coordination, moving forward, moving back, side to side. We do stuff because it's good for balancing, good for hip health, good for the shoulders, relax those shoulders back, all that kind of stuff. So we add in all these moves that we know work for our bodies. But the other very special thing that we do is we say, and anything else you want to add, you know, it's like cooking, right? We're going to have this, we're going to have this, we're going to have this. But you know what? Add in anything else that seems like a good idea. And a lot of the stupid things that I added, you know, like we do a bit of this, we do a bit of that, you know, that kind of thing. We do a bit of that. I would add this and we would mess about, we would do stupid dance moves, all this kind of stuff. And then there would be some research, or somebody would come into class, or I would realize for myself, that bit was the most healing bit. The stupid bit, the silly bit, the bit I just added for, you know, just, oh, there's a bit of music and I don't know what to do for that, so let's just go like this, or let's just kind of go like that. That was the magic. That was the most healing thing. Because it had kind of come out of just a sense of knowing, you know, an innate human knowing of like, how do I want to move my body that's going to be helpful and healing? So all this learning, all this teaching, I mean, I would not have missed it for the world. Going to all those dance classes was even better than I thought it would be when I was a kid. It was better than I thought it would be when I was doing the dance movie, when I was thinking, oh, if I had the time and the money, I'd just go and do dance classes all day long. And then I did it. I actually did it. Oh my goodness. And even better, I think I did it as I was teaching already. So it gave me this really wonderful feeling and experience of knowing that when I was learning, I was serving others. I was doing it in order to serve others, which is just a great feeling. But I shouldn't have needed to have that excuse. I should have been able to just do it for myself, really, shouldn't I? But one of the things I remember is, I think it was in my last session at Zumba convention. And I'll share, there's two special things about this session that I did. And it was a hip hop turn up by Gina Wonder and Dario Wonder. And it was amazing. And I had been to a lot of sessions, like I've been to all kinds of different sessions already. And I was going to this, and I cannot tell you how nervous I was going to hip hop turn up. Because, you know, I was doing flamenco, or I would do this, or I would do African dance, or I'd do something else. And I didn't feel nervous about doing those things at all. But if you put the words like hip hop, or I don't know, I just felt like I was going to be really rubbish. Like it was, you know, like street dance. I mean, I taught street dance, but I just was like, this is the cool dancing. You know, this is what cool people do. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be rubbish, aren't I? And I remember I went into this session, huge room. I mean, hundreds of people in the room. I went in and, you know, sometimes I connect with the people around me, sometimes I don't. And there was a guy behind me. He was a big black guy, about the same age as me. And we looked at each other and we were like, you're right. And we were like, we're going to take care of each other. We're going to take it. Because I think for both of us, it was like we just felt really old going in there. And then we were like, and then the music started. And we started off. And I suddenly went, oh, I know all this music. This is all the music from like the 80s. And you think, hang on a second. And I said to him, this guy went, this is our era. This music is from like, you know, what we grew up with in the 80s, 90s. You know, like, hey, we know this. We know these moves. And we know how to do it. And And we were doing, and it was great because the two of us together, we were like, we were working together and we were getting the moves right. We followed it, we did it all, we were good, it was really good. And I suddenly had this moment, I thought, oh my goodness, the teenage me, the kid at school that didn't have enough money to go to the school parties, didn't have any decent clothes, fancy clothes to go to those, the kid that couldn't go to ballet, the kid that was like, the geek, that was never popular, that was me in high school. And I was there in this room with like hundreds of people doing this hip hop workout and dance class with the two amazing teachers. And I just went, wow, the teenage me would just have been so impressed with this. The teenage me would not have believed I would be this cool. I could be this cool. And I just remember that and I thought, this is healing. This is healing. Healing that relationship, that inner child, that person that thinks I can't be cool, I can't be amazing because I was such a, I was so uncool at school, And another little bit of magic that happened, and I had to say this is so cool. So I'm standing over this guy and we were dancing, we spent the whole session, we were laughing, we had so much fun. It was so great. And there's not a lot of guys in Zumba at Zumba convention. So it was something really special. Anyway, and then his wife showed up and she came over and he was like, oh, yeah, this is, let me introduce you. This is my wife. And it hadn't been any kind of that vibe anyway. It'd been like, hanging out with my brother or something, quite chill. And so he said, oh, this is my wife. And I think he had a moment of thinking, oh, is this going to be weird? And I was like, hello, because she had been standing next to me in the previous session in a completely different part of the convention. And she and I had connected and hung out in the completely different session already. So it was like, hello, yeah. So guess what? I just met you. I've been dancing with you for an hour and then I've come over here and danced with your husband in this room of like hundreds of people. It's amazing those connections that you have with people. Really, really amazing. But I just wanted to, so I talked about the Kundalini yoga, the Aztec dancing, the dance movement psychotherapy, which you could do for yourself really, just put some music on, dance around. That's dance movement psychotherapy. Makes you feel good. Makes you feel good to dance the way you want to dance. Get in connection, get back in touch with your body. If you have any issues with your body for whatever reason, the number of stories I've heard about people who said that doing Zumba has made them reconnect with their body and really feel at home in their body, honor their body, and heal any disconnection, any sense of alienation that we might have with our own body. But I wanted to come back to that moment with the Aztec dancing. And it really took me a long time to figure out what was going on. Like this beautiful green Aztec dancer with all the feathers and everything. And what did she have that I didn't have? What could I do to dance more like her? And it really took me a long time on my travels. I went up all the way around the world. I was traveling around. And one day it just turned up and the penny just dropped what she had that I didn't have. And what she had, the way she danced, is that she was fearless. She danced without fear. And when I realized that, I thought, yes, I want to dance like that without fear. But more than that, I want to live without fear. And I'm working on that. I think there are times I've got there and I've been able to do that. And I think the last 3-4 years have taken me back a few steps through the pandemic where I've had a lot more fear, a lot more anxiety. And so I'm working on that now, working on letting go of that fear, allowing myself to be me, allowing myself to say what I want, be who I want, wear what I want, move how I want, what's natural to me. And so dancing is a type of healing, it's a form of healing. And one of the ways that I keep myself healthy and enjoy my life. Listening to music, dancing, moving around. And I hope that dancing is something, if you're not dancing, maybe think if it's something that's right for you, if it's something you like to do, if it's something you want to do. And you don't have to get the steps right. You don't have to do it in a gym. You don't have to do it on a ballroom. You don't have to do the tango or the salsa or anything else. You don't have to do it in front of anybody else. You don't even have to have music. You just let go and let yourself move however you want. I've done a few videos about silent disco. I hope you maybe have a play with them, see how they make you feel. Enjoy. Come to one of my classes maybe. Most important, just let yourself go. If you want to dance, dance. You can dance if you want to. That's what I would say to anybody, especially the people who have a lot of resistance. You say, I can't dance. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Maybe you're a dancer, maybe you're not. But for me, it's been a great love of my life and a great joy. And even when I have been very, very uncool, for example, on my first trip to Morocco, where everybody was drinking and I wasn't very good at surfing and everybody else was. And I was the bottom of the class, the bottom of the class, the bottom of the class. On one of our last nights, we went out to a club in Morocco. And I got up and started dancing. And suddenly I was the cool one. And everyone was dancing around going, wow, guess what? You can belly dance. This is way before Zumba. But I could do all those dance moves and I could relax and I could enjoy and I could have fun even when I wasn't drinking, which is kind of special for a lot of people. And I got a nickname back then, which I hope they've told me is the right thing and is not a dirty word, which is shta'a, which in Moroccan is dancer, in Arabic is dancer. And that's something very special to me, that was a name that somebody gave me a long time ago, before I had tried Zumba, before I had started doing any of this. And I think the thing is to remember is that the dancing is in you. Even if you never got a chance to go to classes, if you never got a chance to do it when you were younger. I've taught people, elderly people, who, in their 80s, 90s, 100s, are dancing for the very first time, or remembering what it was to dance when they were much younger. And that's something really special. I remember a beautiful lady at a chair class. I think the very first chair class I taught, I was terrified. You know what they say, if you ever go to a dance class and they say, about spiders, that they're more afraid of you than you are of them, chances are your dance teacher is more scared of you than you are of them. But the lady came up to me at the end of it and she said, you made me feel, I think she was late 80s, 90s. She said, you made me feel like I was dancing around the kitchen with my mom when I was a kid. And you brought my mom back to me. And that's probably one of the nicest compliments I think I've ever had. So I love what I have been able to do with music and dance, because I think it's one of the ways that I love to heal people. I don't do massage. I'm no good at that. Don't like one-to-one. Don't really like doing psychotherapy. I'm not a psychotherapist. I've done a lot of one-to-one mentoring, counselling, things like that. And I'm not crazy about it. But when I get up and I work with a group of people and we do dancing together, it's a kind of magic. It is a kind of magic. And the magic I've experienced, the stories that people have told me about music, and it's a really special thing. So I really feel very grateful for being able to dance. But I work with people who have got, who are in wheelchairs, who are blind, who are deaf, and we all dance together. So if you're sitting there thinking, can I dance? Yeah, you can. You can. Everybody can dance. Even, and I'll share one more little story with you. It's a real humdinger. So when I did my Zumba Gold training, the instructor said to me, she said, you may teach people who have almost no movement or no movement left in their body. And the really important thing to remember is, even if somebody isn't moving, there is something going on in the brain. There is something neurological going on. And this is something that's actually been studied and researched, in that if you're watching a sports on TV, there's something going on with the neural pathways and things. So watching dance is a wonderful thing, and it is, even if you see nothing in the person that you're teaching, you know, there is something there. And I worked with the Alzheimer's Society and a lot of dementia groups, and a lot of people in all kinds of special needs and that kind of thing. I will say there are limits, but they're usually to do more with health and safety, you know, really. I won't say I can teach everybody, because I can't. But I taught a group, and there was a guy in the group, and he couldn't move anymore. He was in a wheelchair. He wasn't speaking anymore. He had dementia, and it was a very late stage, and it was like a day sort of daycare center. And he didn't respond, and then when we put on a particular piece of music, I think it was Elvis or something like that, he started to move, and he started to move with the music and go with the music. And it was really amazing to see him starting to engage and to move. And that was so wonderful. And I remember I went to convention like the next week, so I didn't see them for another couple of weeks. And I saw my Zumba instructor, my Zumba Gold instructor, and I was like, oh, this thing happened, and it was really amazing. And she was like, oh yeah, that's great. And I was like, oh yeah, that's great. And the next time I saw him, I think we had a couple of other, you know, sessions and things, but I went and I was teaching, and I put on this song, and he was there, and it was a room of everybody. I was teaching, you know, 30, 40 people in a room, and towards the end, this song came on, and it was a really beautiful Elvis song. It was a very popular song amongst that age group. And as the song came on, because he had been engaging, he had been singing along, it was wonderful. And we got to this song, and he started to just cry, and he was just sitting there like weeping. And all the people in the room were like looking at me like, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? They're like, what are you going to do about it? And one of the things I do is I don't stop. I just carry on teaching, because it happens a lot in Zumba when I'm teaching that people get upset, people get emotional. Often people break down. Sometimes they step out of the room because the music brings up the grief. It's very, very common. It happens all the time. So I don't stop, because I've got 30, 40 people here. And also usually the person who's having a moment doesn't want me to stop and bring attention to them. They want their kind of privacy with them. But I remember feeling ever so torn at that moment, because I was like, should I go over and take care of this person? Should I stop the music? He's obviously upset. I don't know what to do. So I just kind of carried on, because I was like, this is what I usually do. I carried on. Anyway, finished, and we did the stretch, and we did that. And then I went over to him and I said, are you okay? And he said, and he was talking, and he said, oh, I'm just a stupid old man. I said, no, 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 what's up? And he said, it's just memories. And I said, is it, it's sad memory? And he said, no, no, no. He said, it's my happy memories. He said, it's my wife. I'm remembering my wife. And she's gone. And I'm just a silly old man. And I said, no, 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 no. I said, no, it's the most natural thing in the world. I said, a song comes on and I remember my granddad, and I have to have a good cry as well. And we sat and we chatted for a little bit. And that was the last time I saw him, because the next time I went back, and he was 99 years old. The next time I went back, they told me that he'd passed away. And, it took me a while, because it was such a powerful moment. And sometimes you make somebody cry, and I was thinking, how do I hold this? How do I hold what has happened? Did I just hurt somebody at the end of their life? Should I have left them alone? This is somebody who was really at the last stage of dementia, who was not interacting with the world, was not speaking, was not any of those things. And the way I hold it is that I allowed him to remember his wife and remember his life, maybe one last time, and to really feel alive and to feel human and to be himself one more time. And that, I think, is a really great gift, to have one more moment of your life, to be. And I think when it comes to dementia, sometimes it's not about having more time, but about having what we would call lucid time, of being oneself. That's the way I hold that, and I hold that as a very precious memory and a gift to him, and a gift from him to me, to understand a bit more what it is to be human and what it is to be alive as a human being. Maybe you disagree, but that's the way I hold it, that special, precious memory. And I hope that if I've shared that, as I've shared that with you, that it is something that's a gift maybe to you as well. I don't know. I never know when I put music out there or moves or anything, how it's going to connect and how it's going to affect the people that I work with. But I just thought I'd share that with you. And I hope you have a beautiful day, a wonderful day. And if you have questions or comments, please put them there. And of course, subscribe, like, all those things, watch some more videos, I don't know. And I really hope this helps you. I hope it makes sense. I hope it helps. And I hope to see you soon again. Take it easy. Lots of love. Bye-bye.